Welcome to Getting Sports with Drunk. I'm your hostess, Cupcake the Riddler, and I'm joined by
Mock.
Sheen Washable.
Nope.
Kendall.
Man of many names, Solzy.
And this is Getting Sports with Drunk. As per usual, go around the horn with what we're drinking. I'll lead things off. I am drinking a specialty beer today, cracked from the beer cellar itself, a 2012 Goose Island Bourbon County.
Really splurging today, aren't we?
More like I just have too many and need to start drinking them. Mock?
I have from the Stony Creek Brewery again here in Connecticut, the Big Cranky Double IPA.
Mock Sheen Washable, the local beer drinker.
Hey, drink local.
Fact checker and local beer drinker. I like that. I have from Lawson's Finest Liquids a Sip of Sunshine.
Excellent, excellent.
And I just got the juice.
The juice, if you are unfamiliar, will be, other than the Icy Light, which Kyle so dearly likes, the juice is Too Juicy from Two Roads Brewing here in Connecticut. And that is that's a Kyle Soul's favorite. He doesn't really like beer, but for some reason really likes the juice.
It is very good.
It is very good. It's just a weird beer to be the only beer you like.
It's phenomenal.
He's a weird guy.
Well, he
He's
likes October. Not October.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
He does
he
like
does.
Oktoberfest.
He likes
And
Oktoberfest,
mojitos.
too.
Big fan of mojitos.
Not a big fan.
That's where he gets the name.
He only drinks mojitos when he's watching Rudy.
All
Excellent.
right.
That's a Richard Nixon thing, but all right.
I know.
All right, so let's delve into the show. Today's topic for you, the listeners, is the only sport happening, MLB. So today's show, we're going to talk about who's hot, who's not, both players and teams. Kind of give an insight onto some teams we think about might be making a plunge into the future, talent-wise, and windows both closing and opening for some of these MLB teams. Because MLB, I feel like, is one of those sports where your window is much shorter than other teams. MLB and hockey, both of those, there's just playoff spots are limited. Hockey, you get a lot of bounces, but baseball, it's more limited. So we're gonna lead off with teams that are hot and teams that are not, and this is off of current type of play trends and whatnot. So, Kyle, why don't you lead us off with a team that is currently hot?
The team that is currently hot is the Colorado Rockies, who currently lead the NL West. But Arizona's right behind them. But Colorado right now, in my opinion, has the deepest lineup in all of baseball. And their pitching is finally coming to its own, to where all the young starters that they've drafted over the years are finally being called up and finally performing the way that number one draft pick should. Like a Jeff Hoffman, etc.
And do you think the Colorado Rockies, do they have what it takes to get to the World Series?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay. All right. Mock, I would like you to give me a team that is not hot.
Team that is not hot that I thought was going to be hot this year?
No, just a team that's currently just doing very poorly.
I think you know what you're going to say.
A team, at least for me, that started off hot and fell off is the Baltimore Orioles. The beginning of the season, they looked like a top-tier team. They were killing it. But they do this every year. They get to about the midway point and then just jump off the cliff. And it struck them again. There was a team I thought might have taken the division, or at least threatened the Red Sox. And they're not. They turned out to not be that team. Doesn't look like they're going to be. It was kind of surprising.
Now, Kyle, you're a little bit more on the insight world of player movement and whatnot as the inside reporter here at Getting Sports with Drunk.
Our baseball insider.
Our sports insider.
Sports insider.
Do you think the Orioles will supply a team around All-Star Machado, or do you think he leaves and finds a team that will?
That's a tricky question. Because right now, Baltimore has the talent to be very good with Adam Jones and Chris Davis around him. But I think once he hits free agency, he leaves. He's going to take the big
I agree.
All right. Kendall,
Yes.
give me another team that's not.
Well, unfortunately, we all knew it was coming, and that's Kyle's favorite, the Philadelphia Phillies, are not. They put the not in not.
The quest for 100.
No, I've watched a couple Phillies games this year with Kyle. The Phillies, they do put up somewhat of a fight. Granted, most of the games I've watched were against the Nationals.
Well, I think Kyle says it best, that they're young and they're just, they're getting their. So I was watching Mock do some funny hand stuff. But like they're young, and the NL East, the Nationals are just so dominant right now. The Mets kind of, they show promise, and then they're disaster. They're just a
dumpster fire.
All
right, Kyle, would you give us another team that's hot?
The Milwaukee Brewers, who currently lead the NL Central.
A lot of teams leaving their divisions.
We're out.
Obviously, the Cubs are right there and probably will jump the Brewers, but no one expected the Brewers to be this good off the bat. And they're 35-33. Their starting pitching's shaky, but their lineup producing. And once they finally figure it all out, if they can figure it all out by the end of this year, they could probably be a contender.
Do you think they have any chance at squeaking a wild card in?
I do not, just because the Diamondbacks are very good, and the Dodgers are always right there.
The Mets, the Giants.
The Mets will turn it up after the All-Star break, like they usually do, once they get everybody back.
Yep.
It's just there's so many good teams. I think the Brewers just kind of fall out because of how young they are.
Okay. Mark, could you give me another team that's hot?
For me, this might be biased, but the team that's hot for me is the New York Yankees. I thought going into this season, they would have been third in the division, looking upwards, but still not there. And at least as of right now, I mean, they're like a top-notch team. I don't think that'll last all season, but at least right now, I mean, they're hitting home runs up and down. The pitching looks good. It's not over-stellar, but, I mean, guys are getting quality starts. The Yankees look good right now. I went into the season just saying they have to keep pace with Boston.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has to come with, I think a lot of, like, MLB teams, they kind of perk up when they see the youth that they've called up doing well, and Aaron Judge has been doing that for the Yankees.
And it's even beyond Judge, because you have like Gary Sanchez and Aaron Hicks. These guys, this is the youngest Yankees team that like I can remember. The Yankees haven't been this young like since Jeter came up with a young Jeter, Mariano. Other than that, they've always been like an older team, all veterans, and they got it done. But now they have this youth that they haven't had in almost 20 years.
It's time to breed a new team of old men.
Yeah, that's right.
If all these guys keep playing this, I mean, the Yankees can be a dominant team.
Well, don't worry. In your lifetime, you'll see a 40-year-old Bryce Harper suit up as a Yankee.
I'm telling you, I've already called it. I'll call the shot on the show. Mike Trout will sign with the Yankees at 37 years old, 5 years, $100 million.
Wow.
Calling it. Write that down, Kyle.
He's got the pen. He's got it. Too bad we're going to throw out that piece of paper after the show.
All right, Kendall.
Yes.
Why don't you give me the last team that's not?
The last team that's not hot?
Yes.
Well, the San Diego Padres. And, if you look at that team, Kyle and I, before the season started, we looked at that roster. It is an absolute disaster. Kyle, I don't even know who their ace is. Is it... Can you... He's trying to think of it. I don't even know what their ace is.
On paper, it's probably Clayton Richard.
I'll say, keep in mind, Kyle is the biggest stat whore this side of the Mason-Dixon line. And he pretty much knows everybody that wears socks in the MLB. So it's very like gut-wrenching, I'd imagine, to be a Padres fan when like someone like Kyle, who just knows every player who's ever played in the MLB, doesn't even know who the ace for that team is.
Well, it's Clayton Richard, who with no ace.
No ace on any squad.
But the way that the Padres are running their team is that they are getting younger and they are getting better. And Hunter Renfroe, and he has 10, 11 home runs. And that stadium, against that pitching in that division, it's pretty impressive.
Right. But it's just a team that's not impressing anyone.
Besides Will Myers and Renfroe, they have nobody else.
So they're a dumpster fire.
Yes, in so many words,
Excellent.
yes.
Better than the Phillies.
They're pretty much in a race with the Phillies to see who can lose more games this year.
It might be them.
The Phillies are winning now.
Yeah, for now.
For now. So, I'm going to take it right back to Reed. Give me a player specific player
Okay.
that's hot right now.
Specific player that's hot right now. Well, if we go to one of the hottest team in baseball, in the Astros, I think, Altuve is always playing well. I don't have his stats in front of me, but, he leads off. I'm pretty sure he leads off for, he does not lead off. All right, I got the signal. He's batting second. But, he's getting on base, and he's scoring runs. So that's my hot player right there. Kyle could probably get some stats up for me to kind of save me on this one.
Well, unfortunately, Kyle can't type very fast with these crooked witch fingers that
Well,
he has.
he has two hands, but he's choosing to hold the pen with one. So
The pen he's not writing with. So, Kyle, are you getting the Altuve stats, or do I want to?
I am.
I mean, I want to hang up on one player here and then go back to him later.
He is doing very good.
Okay.
Batting .320 with 9 home runs and 32 RBIs.
9 home runs.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like that's a lot at this point of the year
Well,
for
his
him.
ballpark really helps him out.
Yeah, but still, it feels like it's a lot. All right, Mark, give me a player that's not hot.
It's tough. Again, if I look at my own team, because that's who I
sorry, I
pay
was just
attention
laughing
to
at
the
the voice
Yankees
crack.
more. I know it's horrible. I pay attention to the Yankees more than other teams. I would have to go with Tanaka. This was a guy. He was just signed 2 years ago. All this money, supposed to be our ace, and every time he goes out, he just gets shelled.
Not all on him, though. He has a partially torn UCL.
Then fix it. Why are you throwing on that?
He wants to play.
That's horrible. That's horrible. They're paying him too much money, and
Well,
he's
I
not
think
getting
though
the
that
job done.
I think by granted, like I said, injury is a part of it, but as a player, if you want to have depth and success in this league, MLB players play for a long time if you can be successful enough with it. It's not like football where you're 38. If you're 38 and you're playing football, you're in pretty rare company unless you're like a quarterback. In baseball, though, players go the distance quite frequently. Look at Ichiro. But so I know what you're saying that the injury doesn't help, but I think that can contribute to the not. I mean, I understand he wants to play, and a surgery on the UCL could cause him to miss an entire season. But I mean, playing on it can cause him to not, to, instead of tearing it, but completely go through it, and that's done.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, who's hot?
Well, as of June 2nd, Odubel Herrera.
Here he goes.
Yep. A center fielder for the Philadelphia Phillies is batting over .330 with, I believe it was 12 doubles since June 2nd, who now currently leads in Major League Baseball in doubles. And me and Kendall went to the game where he finally broke out of his terrible slump. And ever since then, he just keeps hitting doubles. And
It's Kendall and I, by the way.
Was that the
Grammatically
game
incorrect.
that we weren't invited to?
yes, it was.
Yeah, that was the secret
okay.
Phillies game.
Okay, that
Kyle
was a
kept
secret
from
Phillies
everybody.
I had a steak and cheese that day.
I'll chime in. Player on a team that's not doing terrible but not doing well in the same boat. Chicago White Sox third baseman Matt Davidson. He just played today against the struggling Orioles, and he's a utility guy. So it's hard to pick him as a hot / not, because he doesn't get the at bats that these players we're mentioning are getting, or these rotations or whatever you want to call it. But he just finished up playing every game against the Orioles in the series as the DH spot, and I'm pretty sure in the series he batted around 500 for the series with 4 home runs, a home run in every game, and about 9 RBIs, I think it was, which that's a pretty impressive series.
It is.
And he doesn't get the at bats because it's hard with Frazier playing third, and in the American League you tend to have depth in the hitting area because you have that DH position. So he does not get the at bats that I think he should be getting, especially being a bias on the White Sox side. But I think he's really been turning it up as of late. He's getting more at bats and he's doing more with them.
Can I interrupt? Is it because, I don't know, what side does he bat from, right or left?
He is a righty.
Is that a reason why I think he's not getting the reps? Or
Well,
it could be. I mean, I couldn't give you the stats as to, the starting pitching that we face, lefties versus righties.
he DHs more.
He does more DH. Frazier at this point in the career, Davidson's still young, is a better fielder, so it makes more sense. But he does get some playing time if Frazier needs the day off or he gets the DH spot, but the White Sox do they rotate around weirdly with DH spots. I know that like games like this year where like Melky or Avisail Garcia has needed rest from playing the outfield, they've put like Cody Ashe or Jacob May out there and just DH'd, either Melky or Garcia instead of playing him. So it's weird. He's not getting the at bats. There's a lot of youth there. I think that's why. I think the youth, the seeing what's there is what's keeping him from taking as many at bats. But so let's slide into it's still obviously very early in the season and a lot of things could happen. But playoffs always pop up fast when you watch a sports season go through. So we'll lead it off with Mock. Mock, give me an MLB team that the playoff window, the World Series contention is shutting on them, and it's shutting fast.
Team that it's shutting fast on, I think Kyle already talked about it, was the Brewers. Their team, they always seem to start off well, and then you never hear from them. They never seem to get over that hump, but always put up decent seasons. They're just one of those on the fringe teams that I don't think will make any noise.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Kyle, give me a team that the World Series ring is just finally getting out of reach. The window's closing on them.
Toronto. And that's because, Josh Donaldson's contract's coming up. They already lost Edwin Carcion.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrys Morales hasn't been anything that he was there. Tulowitzki's getting older, getting more hurt still.
Bautista's getting older.
Their pitching's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because they should have kept Mark Burley. That's why.
They're on a downward spiral, going down fast.
And Kendall?
My New York Mets.
I was going to say, I'm sure you'd love to take a stab at yourself here.
Yeah, well, their time is, the window is closing. The young talent that in pitching, it's finally come up. They got it together. Couldn't stay healthy. The year they were supposed to.
I say talent is not always is not a big reason for you guys. It's the injuries.
Injuries just absolutely killing. That's been how it is for 10 years now.
That and continuously bringing in, Familia in non-safe situations.
Oh, yeah. The Mets went to the World Series the year before they were projected to go. Then the following year they lose to a Giants team, which was their year to go to the World Series and win. But
year.
They snapped their own streak. And this year, I don't know what to say, very slow start, but they're kind of picking up a little bit, but still a long season to go.
The problem with the Mets is that they can't score unless it's a home run.
That's it.
Well, you guys have an older team too. I mean, Granderson's on the wrong side of 30. Cespedes is on the wrong side of 30.
We went from a team that couldn't hit home runs to all we can do is hit home runs, and you live and die by the home run ball. And for the beginning of the year, we're dying.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
All right, Kyle, give me a team that the window is pretty open for them right now.
You can say the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. A lot of youth and talent.
Granted, they didn't come off strong, but they played longer last year. But they still have all that talent. Everybody's going to start clicking eventually. They're just going to take over the Central again, and then they can make another big push in the postseason.
I think a dual threat in this topic for me, when you talk about the window closing and the window opening, is the Washington Nationals. They're a team that they come out every single year, and if they don't dominate the NL East, they are right there with the Mets. In the recent years,
they're kind of like the Mets. They're very similar teams.
But I say the window is both opening and closing because they have a lot of talent. They do have some youth. They have players. It's clicking. When it clicks, it's almost unstoppable for them. But they just can't. They have the same hump problem as the Brewers, but that hump for them is the playoffs, and they can't seem to make that big jump in the playoffs. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here. If they can make that hump, and I think if they could get to a World Series, I think they kick the door wide open for a good span for World Series opportunities.
They won't go anywhere until they fix that bullpen.
Well, and I agree with you on that, but and obviously any team needs work. But I'm saying that the team outside of the bullpen, and I know the bullpen's a big part, but they're a pretty well-rounded team. I mean, their pitching is great, their fielding is great, their hitting is great. They're a well-rounded team. If they could just get a sniff of the World Series, I think it opens up potential for them. But until they get that sniff, I think that window is going to close on them. And then Another fun topic. I know Kyle's gnawing at the heels to get to this one. Some teams that are looking promising within the next 5 years to make big postseason debuts. Kyle, would you like to lead it off?
I'll start off by saying the Philadelphia Phillies. They're a AAA team right now with 20-plus games over 500. They have the best record throughout any major level of baseball. Their outfield is stacked. Their pitchers are slowly coming up to the majors. But our top prospects in J.P. Crawford and Jorge Alfaro, they'll be up next year, latest. Maybe even September this year. And once they bring them up, they can see what they do. It's a wrap.
Now, mind you guys, Kyle's been saying this for about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and Bob's been saying it for 30 to 40 years. Now, we might be adding a little bit more bias to the show, but Mock, do you want to add a team that you think is opening up a large playoff window for themselves?
I'm going to stick with my bias with the New York Yankees. I think they're a little, at least right now, they're more ahead of the Phillies. But like I said, they got the youth. They got to get a better pitching staff together. If the Yankees can build a more solid rotation and bullpen, they can be a dominant force for the next 7-8 years. They can always be in that conversation with the way these guys are playing now.
I'm not going to take the bias route with the White Sox. They have a lot of promise coming up, but the White Sox are in a weird funk. They've got these hard-hitting veterans that are doing really well for us now that are not guaranteed in the future in Abreu and Cabrera, and the pitching is not there at all. I mean, they're stringing together wins because they're getting a lot of run support, something White Sox fans haven't seen in a long time, which will make any White Sox fan who knew Chris Sale really upset.
What do you think he thinks about that?
If Chris Sale was pitching this year, the White Sox are a completely different team. I think if Chris Sale's in that rotation, I think the White Sox are in contention for first place, but he's not. So we have a lot of good fielding and hitting prospects coming up, but our pitching prospects aren't there yet. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think they contend, but I think the White Sox, at least for the time being, in the next 3 to 5 years, I think the furthest that they're ever going to get is wild card potential.
Is that your team with the window?
Yeah. That's my team with the window. It's gonna be a big hump for them, being what considered a more than likely last place team over the past few years. I think they're gonna make a big jump, but I don't think they're ever gonna really make a deep run to the playoffs. So, with that being said, Kendall, do you have any?
I do. Now I'm gonna say, and Kyle, I think is gonna give me a look. But once I explain it, I think you might agree. The St. Louis Cardinals, because they always find a way. They'll bring just some scrub out of nowhere. They'll throw him into the bullpen of the rotation. He'll kill it. The batting will just follow in suit, and they'll be right back in the division lead again.
Perfect example, Jet Jerko.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Terrible in San Diego. Last year hit 30 home runs. Didn't even hit 10 in San Diego.
It's something about being there. It's the arch.
Yeah, it must be.
That's what it's something they're putting in the wings.
I think so.
But we'll wrap it up here for us at Getting Sports with Drunk. We'd love to hear what you guys think about some of these teams. Chime in with your own opinions.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook at Getting Sports with Drunk and on Instagram at the same name.
So until next time, I'm the Riddler.
I'm Mock.
I'm Kendall.
I'm the man of many names.
And get sports with Drunk.